to the Man Up Club Presents. We are talking about discovering yourself in your 20s and everything that comes with it. I got two guests here. We got Drew and Trayvon. Y'all say what's up again.
What's up again?
What's up?
So we were just talking about the social pressures that come with being in your 20s, especially thinking about social media and what you see young people doing these days. But y'all have a good outlook on it, you know? What I want to dive deeper into and kind of pick your brains about is reflecting on your self-discovery and personal growth during this era. You know, Trayvon, you 23, and Drew, you're 25. You're halfway through your 20s.
Don't say that too loud.
See,
That
that's the thing. People, when you in your 20s and you get another year older, people always be like, okay, like, you halfway there or you almost there. It's like people skip the middle ages and they go right to the next decade.
Right to 30.
You know,
like
it's
you
like,
turn 23, you 30. You turn 24, you 30.
right. So thinking about your personal growth and things, how have you cultivated your personal growth?
What I'd say, I guess, like if we're speaking about my 20s, I mean, of course, I keep God first. I did an internship when I was 20, and then when I was 21, I went to wrestling school, and then I got my CDL, and then when I was 22, I went back to college. So that was like essentially like how at least for my 20s right now, that's kind of what I've been doing. So, yeah.
See, so somebody might hear that and be like, "Oh, he just got his life together." What you were 20 when you started to make these big decisions that are setting you up for success. So, what was you doing in your teenage years?
My teenage years, working in a school. So like what Drew was saying about how these kids are, like I see it. You know what I mean? They already the TikTok memes, they're saying it already. I'm just like, how do y'all know this already? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's so funny. They was saying big bag at this one school I was working at, because I was working at a school recently. But anyway, but I guess in my teenage years, I got a job when I was 14. I worked at Chick-fil-A. You know, opened up this Chick-fil-A that was close to this mall, locally here. And so from like 14 to 17, I worked there. And then my senior year, I just decided to just focus on school. I wanted to really like make a lasting impact my senior year of high school. And then like 18, 19, just started working in schools because I took a class to the U of M, exploring the teaching profession. So like I learned about this. I can like sub in schools, so that's what I was doing from like I guess I guess I still do it. It's on call. I can do it whenever I want, but like I was more heavily into it like 18, 19.
You were exploring teaching.
Yes.
So, what are your goals right now? What are actually here's a better question. What are the career paths that you're thinking about?
Career paths.
Yeah, stuff that you've dabbled in.
I definitely say like something athletics. Like I said, I went to wrestling school.
Okay.
I guess real estate.
Okay.
I like to own some things. I went to this. Oh yeah, I forgot. And I went to like a bunch of conferences. I completely forgot about that. I went to this conference called Invest Fest in Atlanta, and there's this lady. Like her story was so crazy, and she's like, I own 1,000 properties. Like all the stuff she went through, I was like, wow, like that's crazy. You know
That's what influenced you to take a look at real estate.
Well, no, not that. I've always been interested in it. Like, at least for me and my experience with, the people that I'm in rooms with, it seems like my goals are always like the biggest goals. So when I went in there and I saw that someone's goal was bigger than mine, like it just inspired me more. So that's why I was like, I knew I want to own property, but I never had a number. And I'm like, oh snap, she owned 1,000. Like, what? That's crazy. I wouldn't mind doing something like that,
Yeah.
So like, so I'll say that real estate, and then just entrepreneurship, just in general. Like there's a lot of business ideas that I have. So it's just those are kind of like mainly like I guess my trajectory right now.
What are some of the business ideas you have, real quick?
Business ideas. Well, there's like a sports drink I would like to make.
Ooh.
Since I am into like health and fitness, there's what else? Man, there's more. I mean, clothing. Yeah, clothing's best. Definitely a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, and yeah. I guess I'll say that. There's definitely more, but I would say those are kind of like first
Okay,
two.
and
Top
you're
two.
you're a Man Up Club member. So what's a program that you are currently a part of right now?
I'm a part of the music program, so also artistry is something that I would like to pursue as well.
So it sounds like you got a lot going on. I mean, you said you was doing. You said that you're passionate about wrestling.
Mhm.
You did some teaching.
Mhm.
You're interested in doing some entrepreneurial journeys when it comes to creating your own clothing brand, having a sports drink, and then now you're talking about you're in the music program at the Man Up Club. So there's a lot of different types of things that you're doing right now.
Mhm.
And I think it's safe to say that I think that's what's great about your 20s is that you have the freedom to explore a whole bunch of different interests and passions and opportunities that are completely different from each other.
Mhm.
What do you say about that, Drew?
Um, oh no, I'm kind of in the same boat. I can't lie. So when I like going back, like I started working when I was 14 years old,
Mm-hmm.
like, and I have not had a job since. Just because one, it keeps me busy, and two, like, there's always this pressure to like make money, to make your own money, to be able to support yourself. And I took that really seriously until I realized that like I didn't really know what I wanted to do aside from the fact that you got to make money to live. And so like when I started making music is when I actually had like the faith in myself to pursue it as not only a career choice but as an outlet for my own emotions,
Mm-hmm.
because during that late high school, early college period, my mental health was not in the best place.
Mm.
So like I started doing music, and that kind of like music definitely saved me. So that's something I'll always do forever. But another thing that I started doing was modeling.
Mm-hmm.
And doing modeling, it's like the same type of work you do in music, just in a different setting. So like
Mm-hmm.
you have to dedicate yourself to studio time, you have to dedicate yourself to writing, you have to dedicate yourself to, getting better at what you do. And it's the same way with modeling. You have to dedicate yourself to go to these casting calls. You have to dedicate yourself to perfect your walk. You have to dedicate yourself to stay on top of your headshots. You have to do all this stuff. And so when you're pursuing like more than one thing like that, like also like I want to be a soccer coach. Like that's another thing that
What?
would really like boost me as a person, is to be able finally to be a soccer coach, because I've
Mm-hmm.
always wanted to do something like that. And soccer is one thing that I love just out of genuine happiness. But it's it's hard trying to it's hard trying to sift through all the different passions that you do have and then turn it into something that formulates into growth.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people, but I'm me included, you could sit and just do the same cycle of like, oh, I'm gonna give 30% of my energy to this, 30% of my energy to this, and 30% of my energy to this, but then you don't actually give 100% of your energy to anything, which
Mm.
is kind of, I don't know, it's hard to decipher and it's hard to grow. But when you think about all those passions, like it really comes down to, is it worth it for you to spend your time doing those things or not? And that's part of that self discovery of what's really important to you.
Mm-hmm. One thing that's really good about you is that you're focused on a specific path. But the challenge is you're going down the artistic path, and I just can't help but to think, isn't it even more of a challenge when you compare yourself to a different well, I guess what I'm trying to say is, isn't it more of a challenge when you compare yourself to the narrative of being a provider as a man, because it's like, I think that guys have it harder than females when it comes to money and trying to get money. And like, we're all in our 20s. Y'all are the guys, I'm the girl. And it's like, I feel like there's more of a pressure that you guys feel to be the provider. So it's like you have even less time to self-discover in your 20s. Does it feel like that? Do you guys agree with that or not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's always a rush to be a provider as a man. That's just like second nature. You can't really run from that. But well, you can run from it. You just might not end up in a great place. But like I have such a need and such a want to provide for the people that I care about,
Mm-hmm.
but money is probably like close to the bottom of my list of important things in this world, which is
Wow.
it's tough to want to provide, but also to not really care about money. Like, because I've always, like, I grew up not a lot of money in my family, and I had a blast. I love my mom. My mom always took care of me and my brother, even though we didn't have enough money.
Mm-hmm.
But I still wouldn't live my life either, like any other way. And so thinking about how I live my life going forward, it's, well, as long as I'm happy, I'm okay. But a part of that, like, you kind of need money to be happy. Now, they say money isn't happiness, but like, if you want to wake up in a house and eat breakfast and take a hot shower and sit and watch the news in the morning or whatever you watch in the morning,
Right.
like you're gonna need money, so you gotta work. So it's putting aside, like, for me, it's putting aside like the things that you're like, oh, I don't need that, I don't care about that, but then making yourself actually pursue it in order to get the things you do care about.
Do you worry about the future? Do you worry about where you gonna financially be in 5 years?
And as much as I would love to say yes, no. um, I worry. I worry that I'm gonna be okay. I worry that I'm gonna like be in a house. Like I'm worried like oh what if I have a kid? What if I fall in love with somebody? Like, oh dang, now I'm really gonna like put stuff to the side so that I can support, so that I can make money. But I also have I also have this weird feeling of like everything, like literally everything in life works out just the way it's supposed to.
Mm.
Whether like whatever you do this day is exactly what you were meant to do this day, and so whatever happens tomorrow is exactly what was supposed to happen tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have my faith in the fact that I will be okay, and I will put myself in in the situations to succeed and to make money and to provide, but I'm not too worried about my ability to do it. If that makes sense.
Okay, I feel you. You gotta have the willpower and the ability, and as long as you have that, you can make some things happen.
Exactly.
We gonna dive into it. We gonna dive into it. Life in your 20s, y'all. Welcome to another episode of the Man Up Club Presents. I am your host today, Selena Lena, aka Sis from Sis and Low Bro, but I am the youth and program director of the Man Up Club. We're a nonprofit organization within the Twin Cities that helps mentor young Black men between the ages of 13 and 24,
Yeah.
and we teach on life skills, social skills, academic discipline, and civic responsibility. All right. If that's something that you want to support, go ahead and go to www.themanupclub.org. Okay. Now, today we're going to get into it. I have two very special guests. One of them has been on here already. Trayvon, say what's up to the people.
What's up?
Okay. Trayvon is 23 years old. A couple things about him. Quick fact. Just give a quick fact about you, bro.
Quick fact about me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess like I mean the last was like, okay, I grew up in church, I guess, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Then our next guest on the show is Drew, aka Fruit. That's his artist name. And
is me.
Drew is 25 years old. Say what's up, Drew.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? I'm glad y'all stopped by.
Yes. Do you want to go by Drew here or Fruit?
We can go by Drew here. We talk about some real stuff. I'll go by my real name.
Okay.
We can do that.
Okay. So today's topic is talking about life in your 20s. So if you listening to this and you in your 20s, you already know what's up. Okay. This is the decade of discovery. What y'all think about that? Just off the top, like when you hear life in your 20s, what's your first thought? Go ahead.
Figuring it out. That's my first thought. Which kind of goes along with what you said, the decade of discovery, like discovering how you work in the working world of this world, outside of being in school or high school or running the same routine every day. You have the freedom to make your own decisions, and that's where you really test like what kind of person you are and how you think about life in general.
What about you, Trayvon? What's first thought when it comes to your 20s?
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's just figuring things out, you know, to prepare for your future. Because, you know, once you're in your 30s, that's when it gets a bit more serious. So, you know, got to make those proper decisions now, you know what I mean? So you can set yourself up for the future.
So the thing is, you said being in your 30s, like that's when you could be more serious. But with social media today, it's like it advances everything. You know what I mean? Like you got people who are 19 years old, okay, I'll be more realistic. Like 20, 21 years old, they already got their own business. They already making a whole bunch of bread off of, running their own um, self-discovery mentorship program, or they're getting into real estate, and then you see a whole bunch of young people who are successful. They done bought a Benz, like, you know what I mean? Like we see on social media so many young people who's way under 30 that are killing it. And it kind of makes it feel like, oh, well, you should have your life all together when you 20 now. Because these days it's 2024. We getting ready to go to 2025. It's like people. There's like a pressure. You know what I'm saying? There's like a pressure to already have everything together financially, relationship wise. I don't know about you guys. I'm gonna let you guys speak because this is your platform. But
100%.
when it comes to the females, it's like there's like this that girl syndrome where you know what that is?
Oh no, go into that. What is that?
The that girl syndrome is basically where it's you see on social media a certain type of female, the one who has her life to get together, the one who meal preps, the one who works out 5 a.m. every morning, the one who has her outfits color coordinated every day. Like basically everything is ordered. Her finances is together.
Yeah.
It's straight. So I want to ask, like, as young men who are in your 20s, is there a certain image that you guys see on social media for people who are y'all's age, specifically men?
Definitely, that I 100% see that, and especially like me being 25 and looking back at all like the 19-year-olds, the 20-year-olds who are like they just bought their first BMW, they just made their first 6 figures and stuff like that. Like when I was 19 or when I was 18, 19, it was COVID, so it was really like, you were either like sitting stuck inside or you were like trying to find a way to make money inside, and it's all about your drive as an individual. But when you see somebody else who might have more drive than you, you start thinking down upon yourself, like, why don't I have this drive, or why don't I want to do the things this person wants to do? And that pressure builds if you don't find an outlet for it, or you don't find a way to work, or you don't find a way to make yourself feel proud of yourself in your 20s, because that could swallow you.
And here's the thing, like I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, you're an artist. Your artist name is Fruit. So it's like, do you have any pressure being 25 and just wanting to make it in the industry?
Yes, 100%. There's a lot of, especially these days, like it kind of works both ways. Like you see a lot of people, like I was just talking about this the other day, how the artist Jelly Roll, how he is like big in country music now, but he started off like rapping. He's like 40 something years old, but he just blew up. But the life he lived was insane, going through his 20s and everything. He just didn't get the recognition like that. So that gives me more faith, and it helps me like relieve the pressures that there are artists like that. But when you see all these like 16, 17, 18-year-old kids who are out here getting like signing deals and doing millions of streams and stuff like that, it's definitely pressure. I feel like you're running out of time.
Yeah. How do you cope? How do you cope with that? Like, how do you,
Man, just, I find the reason why I do it. Like, as far as music, like I do it regardless of the age I'm at, I'm probably going to make music. But, it also like, it pushes me further. Like I try to turn that pressure into drive in order to succeed, because like, so maybe I didn't blow up when I was 20, but I'm definitely going to blow up by the time I'm 30. You know what I mean?
What about you, Trayvon? Are there pressures that you feel when it comes to your age and comparison, or no?
I guess like I felt it at times, like I have like two best friends. One's a nurse, an RN already, and the other one, he got his bachelor's degree when he was 20. So like just seeing like how successful they are, it's like, dang, like, there's a lot that I want to do. So I guess like in comparison of like the people that I'm really close with, I wouldn't necessarily say like more of a social media type of thing, but whenever I look back at like the years, I'm like, what did I do this year? And I can't say I didn't do anything. I actually grew. I learned something new. I actually did something, so it's like I kind of view it from that type of lens, like, yeah, just the opportunity will present itself when it's the right time. So that's kind of how I kind of view things. It's not like well, I wish I had this, and I would like what I really think about, because this is a thought that I just thought about recently. It's
Hmm.
just that like when people say they want all this money, it's just like, what do you need it for? Like I actually wrote down a budget, and I'm just like, how much does it cost for me to live the life I want to live? And it's not even that expensive. So it's like I don't need to be making six figures or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to be making seven. So it's like my main thing, at least when it comes to getting success, is that I want to help people. That's it. All that extra money is gonna go towards other people. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
only need so much for myself and for my future family. That God will provide for me. So it's like that's kind of just how I view it as. So it's like right now I gotta work on certain things and focus on that right now.
You know, I admire that. I admire how realistic you come into life because what people can learn from what you just said is that you do not have to get caught up in what's popping on the internet
Mm-hmm.
because what's popping on the internet can warp your perception of where you're at. But it's hard to get away. It's hard to get away from that though. I
Hmm.
mean,
Oh yeah.
but it sounds like Trayvon, you got people in your life who are doing productive things and they're young, right?
Hmm.
Because they're in their 20s too, right? The people
Yep.
that you mentioned.
Yeah. Both of my best friends. We're all the same age.
Yeah, so it's like it's more so. I like your perspective because you're looking at it like iron sharpens iron,
Hmm.
as opposed to like, oh my gosh, they doing so much, and I need to get my grind on. I mean,
Like,
it's
yeah.
it's a good type of motivation. It's not something that's like negative,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
So
And I think
yeah,
the difference, well, the real difference that I've seen in between like the generations is like the technology available. Like you're saying, like how Instagram, social media, all that stuff. You see these people, like you see these 16-year-old kids living in mansions. Like it's crazy. But like me growing up, like the things I did to entertain myself as a kid was like play outside,
hmm,
like
Yeah.
go play basketball. Like that was what was important to
Yeah.
me as a kid. Like the kids growing up now, the kids who are 7, 8, 9 years old in school watching Instagram reels about how people are on jet skis, not going to school, like don't have to work a day in their life because they already made that one play that got them so much money. Like that's their role models. So it kind of makes sense that all these kids are coming up at 17, 18, 19 and they're doing so said more than what we did at that age because when I was worried about playing outside. I was worried about going to play soccer. I was worried about bowling with my friends. I was worried about like,
mm.
you know what I mean, hopping on hopping on Black Ops 2 like after school because that was nurturing to my soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're talking about the difference between, okay, we're all in the same general generation, right? Because I'm in my
Mhm.
20s too, but like people who are, okay, I have a younger brother. Shout out to Chris. He going to LSU. My
Shout out
brother
Chris.
CJ, but you know he's what, I think 19. Chris, don't kill me if I like I'm like wrong on your age,
Chris, get
but
on it. Chris, get on it.
but there is a significant difference between the few years that we have between us and our younger siblings and even
Mhm.
people who are younger than them. It's like you said, like they coming up and they watching that social media and they're not worried about, yeah, like simple things like playing outside. But I think at the end of the day it comes down to you as an individual, right? I mean, is that something that that you guys agree with when it comes to success and the age that you quote unquote make it, or the age that you get serious about making a living or finding a career, etc.?
Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't think it. I think it comes down to the individual in some ways. Like one, like everybody's environment impacts who they become as a person. 'Cause everybody has to grow
Mm-hmm.
through the said weeds in their life in order to blossom like flower. But the thing that's like depends on the individual is like where their drive sits and what their goals are. Because like me, like I've always had a tremendous amount of drive in my life,
Mm-hmm.
but it's never been drive towards like money. It's never been drive to like figure out like how I'm gonna be stable in my 30s. Like I've had the drive to like be really good at soccer. I had the drive to like make really good music, or I have the drive to like go get canes for lunch. You know what I mean? Like a very driven person. It's just not in the same ways that some people are.
Mm. So I'm hearing that it has to be based on your personal goals. It
Mm-hmm.
has to be based on what you want, not comparison of age to anyone else.
100%.
We're definitely going to dive deeper into talking about life in your 20s. We are back with the Man Up Club Presents, and we just got an answer from Drew talking about life in your 20s. Before we step into that, I just want to plug the Man Up Club. If you guys do not know what the Man Up Club is, again, we're a nonprofit. True. We're a nonprofit organization who helps young Black males, okay? Between the ages of 13 and 24, the goals of the Man Up Club is to get them to graduate from high school, get them to go on to a trade or to go to college, and also to stop them from going into the prison pipeline, okay? So we're here to help with all of that. Now, we're talking about life in your 20s, breaking it down. Drew, you had mentioned providing and finances, and you even mentioned like love and relationships. What are some goals that you have when it comes to the next 5 years? Family wise, lifestyle wise.
Ooh. Okay.
Wow. Wow. Goals that I have. I don't know. My goal, lifestyle wise, is crazy. I'm hoping to find somebody that I can like. I'm hoping to find my partner in life, like my team partner, like, because I think like all the, like the relationships and love and stuff like that is teamwork, and I'm hoping to find that. I'm hoping to find somebody I can work with well. It's like a good partner in this life, because when you get to the 25s, the 26s, the 27s, the 28s, it's like, dang, you're like, if you're still by yourself, like you feel that pressure weighing on you when you're by yourself at that age. And not just like, oh, I wish I could get a girlfriend, but like life is hard. And when you get to that point where you're balancing, like, I mean, you start thinking about taxes, you start thinking about bills, you start thinking about mortgage payments, you start thinking about doctors, you start thinking about all this stuff. Your body starts to act up. Like when you're in your like late 20s, early 30s, you're going to run into all like everything you did in your college years is going to start affecting you. And that's like one thing where like nobody really wants to be alone for that. So I want to find like my partner to where I can actually work with somebody on that, because it's good to have somebody to talk to in those situations. Another thing is I want to be in a house. I want to have a house, and I want to have, like you were saying, like properties, like as far as like on the financial side, because I think in this age, like from 25 to 30, if you can build those like those methods of passive income for yourself, you take a lot of stress off of your wallet, which in turn takes a lot of stress off your mind. And so if you can get to 30 with a clear head, you are insane. Like I commend you for that, because you have worked to that point. And going from 30 to 40, like everybody says everything has to happen in your 20s, but there's a lot of stuff that happens in your 30s and your 40s too. So I think like taking, like for me, these last 5 years of being in my 20s, like I really want to set those building blocks for myself to succeed going further in my life.
What about you, Trayvon? What are some goals that you have within this decade?
Within this decade, I guess, yeah, I would say the same thing. Like I would want to be married. I would want to find my partner. Yeah, own properties as well. I would like to be in, like, as far as like wrestling, I would like to be signed. By then, I would like to be, you know, I like to do the things that are a bit more selfish as far as like my passions. I would like to get that done, kind of already in there and pursuing that before, getting married and having kids. So, I would say like those are probably like, I think those are probably like my top goals for the next 5 years, other than like just taking care of me and making sure I'm a better version of myself.
Something that I just learned from both of y'all's answers when it came to the answer of marriage, both of you guys said that you want to be, well, okay, actually, let me clarify first before I say that. Trayvon, you said you do want to be married before you're 30?
Yeah, that would be a preference.
What about you, Drew?
I would like to get married after I'm 30.
After?
Yeah, after I'm 30. Not like if it happens before, it happens before. But like when you think about 20s and setting the building blocks for your own life, like, man, you have to have those set before you bring somebody else on board, in my opinion. And my timeline, as far as my brain works, I know it's going to take me till I'm 30 to at least like feel comfortable with like somebody else depending on my bank account feeling like somebody like because like when you get married, you join so many things about your life,
Mm-hmm,
and I would rather be with somebody for 6 years and then get married than meet somebody for 1 or 2 and then get married just so I can get married before 30.
I feel that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because like
I definitely feel that.
I mean, even if we end up having kids and we like 35-year-olds with a newborn, like that's not that bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, that's not crazy.
y'all do know that when a female hits 35 and she's pregnant, it's considered a high risk pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So,
You know that.
we definitely got some time that we gotta, make
Which
things
that's
happen.
what makes it hard because like you really gotta determine like how important is a kid, like how important is like that stuff, and like do you want to start that process now, or do you want to take the chance and maybe start it when you're 35? But like when it comes to like starting having kids in your 30s, like if you can't have a kid, that's the will of God. That's just the will of God. You weren't meant to have a kid. You were meant to adopt. You really want a kid. And so like
Okay.
there's different
Okay.
options. Like me, I've always been a fan of adoption because like one, there's so much going on in this world, and to try to bring a new character onto this planet instead of helping one that's already here
Mm-hmm.
is something that I've always thought about. But at the same time, I do want to see a little mini me running around, like with my
I feel
eyes, with
that.
my hair, like all that. Like I would love that, but that's a selfish. I feel like that's like a self want for me.
Okay. That's interesting. That's interesting. See, I had to stop and ask that question to both of y'all when it comes to the marriage and age thing, because it's actually nice that you guys have different perspectives. But Trayvon, you just kind of opened my eyes a little bit. I really thought that it's rare that young men think about an age that they want to get married. I mean, I know that it's probably crossed their mind, but it's just being a female, being a young woman, we be talking about that stuff a lot,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So
Oh, dudes do
it's
too.
good.
Guys do too.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. At least like me and my friends, talk about it. Like we get home and we're like, wow, like there are people out here getting married. Like we're just sitting on the couch like watching the football game, and it's like wow, did you hear so and so got married? It's like dang, and like there's one person on the couch who goes, couldn't be me. Then there's another person on the couch who goes, could definitely be me. There's another person who's like, I already have a kid. What's up? Like it's so different for each guy that like when you get like at least a group of guy friends, like everybody's gonna have their own opinion towards that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's another thing about being in your 20s is that it's a crazy time. You seeing some people get married, you seeing some people having babies,
Mm-hmm.
you seeing some people barely making it, you seeing some people living in their mama's house,
Mm-hmm.
you seeing some people jumping from one career to another. You see somebody who's financially not there yet,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see somebody who's financially balling.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
successful, ready for anything.
Right. So it's like there's a flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
There's a flexibility about this decade. But actually that's what should be able to take some pressure off. It's like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to run my own path
Mm-hmm.
and my own race. But here's a question though. Do you think that there are certain rules? Well, maybe not rules. Do you think that there are certain marks in age that you should have a certain thing by?
Yeah, but I don't know how to say it. Like,
What are those things like at okay, so yeah, what
Hmm.
is one thing or a few things where you're like, at this age I should have this?
Well, like you should have your own car by 22.
For real?
That like a car, like for me, like my like that was one of my big goals. Like I'm not like I need my own car. Like that's step number one to being like for me in my mind. Step number one to being a man is having your own car, being
And
able to drive.
do you have your own car?
I do.
Okay.
I do have my own car.
He can say that. He can say
I do have my own
Yeah.
car.
But yeah.
But I'm also 25. Like I've had
Wait,
like
when did you get your first car though? That's the
my
real question.
when I got my own first car
What
was
age?
when I was 19,
Okay.
and then I was young with it, and then it got impounded because I was speeding, so that was bad. And so then I had to get another one when I was like 21, and then I've been through like 4 cars. It's been bad.
Trayvon, when do you drive?
Yeah.
You got your own car?
Yep.
When did you get your own first car?
Well, I mean, I was a bit more privileged. My parents gave me the car, so I had a car when I was 16, and then a
Mm.
car when I was 21. So I have a different one now. But yeah.
Would you say that by a certain age you have to have a car?
Um.
Not today.
Yeah. I mean, with him saying that, there's people I know that don't have cars. You know what I mean? That don't
Right. I
even
mean,
have
there's a whole bunch
licenses.
of people I
Yeah,
know.
I know that's older. So I guess a certain age. Yeah, I would say like my main thing is whenever you want to be independent, that's when you should have it. Because I tell the people that's in my life, I'm all like, I don't mind living in a place with y'all, but I need y'all to do what I think four things. You have to graduate, you gotta have your own car, your own job, and or you gotta be like pursuing school or something like that. So it's like, and when it comes to being independent, you know what I mean? Like, yes, you need your car, but some people don't mind. They don't mind living at home until they're in their 30s. So it's like,
No,
it's
100%.
really depending on like whenever you want to be independent, that's when you should get it.
Yeah,
You
and it's a
know?
cultural thing too, because I
Yeah.
know like, especially like I can't say too much because I'm not a part of this community, but I know like my friends that grew up in the Latino community, like their families stick together for a very long time. Like
Right.
there's a lot of families that like they're like the mom and the dad like encourage the child to stay in the house, to stay living at the house till they're 26, till they're 27, till they get married or something
Right.
like that. Like that's just staple culture. Like I know there's other cultures like in like Eastern Europe and Western Asia where they're like you like the whole like we're having 12 people live in this house. You live with your grandma, like or you live with your great grandma.
Mm-hmm,
Like
mm-hmm.
you could be 25 but you still live with your grandma. Your mom lives there, all your family lives there. Like that's part of the culture.
Mm.
And then same with like as far as the cars go, like for me it was important because I signified like having a car and being able to drive as being independent, and that was something that was very important to me.
Hmm.
But I know like one of my friends still don't have his license because he just doesn't feel the need to be driving a car. He's like, well, I spend the same amount on Uber as I would paying for a vehicle and paying for maintenance and all that stuff, so I don't necessarily need to have my license, which I respect him for. And that's
Mm-hmm.
just not something he finds important. What I find important is being able to do what I want on my own time. That's why I have my own car.
No, that's real. And I like the fact that you pointed out that there is a cultural awareness when it comes to thinking about quote unquote where you should be,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Because, like you said, in certain cultures, you can be, 29 years old and still live in your parents' house. But
And it's frowned upon if you move out.
yeah, right. So it's like being in your 20s as an American, there is a pressure because it's like when you're 18 years old, it's like, okay, now you grown, get up out my house,
Mm-hmm.
But for a lot of people, that's not necessarily the case.
Oh yeah, America puts so much pressure on their kids. It's not even.
Yeah,
It's not even funny compared to a lot of other cultures in the world. Like America's different.
for sure. And then another thing that we have not even dived deep into yet is friendships. Not just
Mm.
relationships, but friendships.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to get into that too. What's up, y'all? We're back at the Man Up Club Presents podcast, talking with Drew and Trayvon, talking about the decade of your 20s, more well known as the decade of discovery. We've kind of mentioned things like relationships, social pressures, but now we're going to get into friendships.
Mm.
So when it comes to making friends during this age, what I notice being in my 20s is that I also have the experience of being in college, by the way. But the people in college some of them have dwindled away, but some of them I've carried from college. And then there's some people that I've talked to since even middle school and high school. The way I see it, if I'm still talking to you today, like as a friend, and I call you my friend, you are basically considered somebody who I see myself continuing to talk to for the rest of my life. And it may not be on a regular basis, but it's like we're at the age now where you could talk to somebody one time, like let's say in January, and then we're still friends and I don't hear from them until March. But we catch back up like time was never lost.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So talk about, friendships, the importance of establishing certain friendships at this age, or maybe you've had a bad experience with friendships and there's lessons that you've learned in your 20s.
No, I mean, I think college helps tremendously with the ability to have friends and make friends in your 20s because like one, college is so hectic. Like when you're in college, like there's so many more things that you are supposed to be focused on rather than having friends.
Hmm.
And but having friends in those scenarios is what makes college like enjoyable, fun, and it gives you that outlet in order to pursue like the goals that you are trying to, like your degree in whatever subject that may be. Um and the same goes for like life in general. Like my friends change. Like they do change. Like I have specific friends that I have been friends with for all of my life. And then I continue to meet people where I'm like, oh, yep, like you're my brother. Or like, yep, like you're my sister for real. Like
Hmm.
that's you meet those people, but at the same time, like there are people who are only supposed to be in your life for like a season.
Hmm.
Like people who are supposed to be there to help you through what you're working on in that moment. And I don't know, like I said, like nothing ever happens unless it's supposed to happen. Like the universe, whatever higher power that we have, like it's not gonna waste time putting you in a room if it doesn't have to. Like it's got all this stuff to control. Like it just controlled that light changing. It just controlled the wind today. Like why are they concerned about who you met? And
Mm.
so I picture everybody I run into in life as a person that I should take as somebody I should meet because they were put in front of me for a reason. But some people are meant to go after you learn a lesson. Some people are supposed to be there with you while you continue to learn lessons because they work good with you and you guys are like learning partners in this life.
So would you say that it's a mature mindset to have when you understand that, hey, being a young adult, you got to accept the fact that people are going to come and go,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
100%. You can't keep every single person in your life just the way you want it. It never works. And that sounds pessimistic, but it also, I mean, it's realistic. Like there's people who are going to move across the country that you won't be able to see every day, but if if they're really meant to be in your life, you're going to find a way to see them. If not, then it's just not going to work out and you can't fret those things because
Hmm.
it's going to hold you back as a person. I feel like.
Yeah, you can agree with this or you can disagree.
I
Um,
actually have a different perspective.
oh, okay.
No, like his perspective is true. It's
Talk
just
about it.
my experience is opposite, I guess. Um, like at least when it comes to friends, I haven't really made a bad friend. Like it just hasn't happened. I don't know. Like no one really like does something disrespectful or like, lies on me or anything like that. Like I just know how to place people properly. And I
Mm.
just
Mm,
know that like if we're gonna go back to relationships, I just know when I'm married and I have kids, my friendships are gonna look completely different. But I just know as far as like my friends that I have now, I don't mind inviting them to my wedding. They can come, and if they don't come, then it is what it is. It
mm,
doesn't mean like we're still ain't cool. You know what I mean? Like we all have our own life to live, um, but yeah, I wouldn't say like there would be like a falling out or anything like that. It's just like I'm very notorious. I don't block people's numbers. Like
oh,
you
never.
know what I mean? Like if you want, my number hasn't changed. If you want to call me, you can call me, and I'll be like, oh hey, yeah, how's it going? And so I have no issues with anyone calling me, checking up on me or wanting to catch up or anything like that. And I do the same thing. If I'm in town, like, if I go out of town, I have friends in LA, I have friends in Atlanta. If I go out of town, guess who I'm gonna call? Hey, I'm in town. You wanna hang out? You know what I'm saying? So it's
Mhm.
like, you know, so yeah, so I guess like I don't know, I just haven't had the bad experiences, you know what I mean? Because I'm very particular on who I pick
Mm.
as far as a friend. So yeah, so that's what I say.
And I don't think it attributes like what I was saying. I don't think if it came across as bad friends, I can see that, but that's not like bad friends aren't usually don't usually happen. Like, because if like bad things happen, is that person really your friend? Like type of
Yeah.
thing with the way you think about it, like with hindsight.
But
But
people can disappoint you though.
people could definitely
And
disappoint you.
and and you can have a friend and y'all are really friends though. But then all of a sudden some maybe they want, I don't know, maybe they're jealous of your relationship, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe they're jealous of what you have or the opportunities that you're getting. So then all of a sudden their focus changes and then they start to treat you in a way that you wouldn't expect. Or
Mm-hmm.
people get into relationships and then they turn around and stab you in the back.
Mm-hmm. Which is like it's hard, especially at this age, because like so many people base relationships or hold relationships to like such a high standard to where like like if you have like these like three group or like three core group of friends, whatever, blah blah blah. Like you live with them, like that's your roommates, that's everybody that you love spending time with, love hanging out with, and then all of a sudden you get a girlfriend and you over at her house all the time, or she over at your house all the time, and you're not spending as much time with them. Either they feel some sort of way, or you feel some sort of way, or she feels some sort of way because you still want to hang out with your friends, and it's just like people think that possessing somebody's energy is important, which
Hmm.
at one point you're just supposed to share it.
Yeah, for sure. You know, there's
That's scary.
we talked about the pressure individually being in your 20s, comparing yourself to other people and the success that they make with their lives and the success that you make with your own life. But what about comparison when it comes to friendships? Or maybe not comparison. What about when it comes to the pressures of having quality friendships? Like, let me ask y'all a question. Do you have friends or friend groups that are not so serious about life? Or because, Drew, you coming up on 25, Trayvon, you got really not strict, you have really
Particular.
particular,
Hmm.
particular choices in the people that you choose. Like, are there people in your life that, just kind of like go with the flow, they don't gotta be headed in a certain direction. You know what I mean? Like, are there
Yeah.
people like that in your life, or you're starting to become even more selective because you're trying to get to a certain place by 30?
Yeah, I don't know. I would say that like when you're younger, like it doesn't really matter where somebody's trying to go. Like as long as you like being around them. Like if for me at least, like if I like being around somebody, if they're funny, if they like jokes, like I like spending time with them, and then I end up caring about that person. But because I care about that person, and the longer we stay friends, I want to see you reach for something.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see you go for something because then one, not only is it going to motivate me to go towards something, then I know that I'm like I don't know, I'm with somebody who has the capability to grow, if that makes sense. To
Mm-hmm.
where like now, like as far as the amount of friends that I spend time with, it's not that many. Like I'll talk to them on the phone, I'll call them, like we talk, we catch up. But as far as like the people I spend my day with, it's usually people who are reaching for a goal similar to mine,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how the friendship kind of maintains. Is like we both have a common goal. Therefore, we're both working towards the same thing. Therefore, we're both going to be working in the same environment, thinking the same things. We're going to be common people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think friends are. Is somebody who thinks the same way you do.
Yeah, it's the
Or different enough to where you guys help each other grow.
Mm-hmm. There's a common saying that's like, birds of a feather flock together. And then there's also another saying that I'm sure you guys have heard before, but it goes a little something like, look at your closest 4 or 5 people around you.
Hmm.
If you look at them, that is you can tell the direction that you're headed, or you can
Mm-hmm.
tell the type of person that you're going to be. Do you guys agree with that?
100%.
Yeah.
So thinking about those people,
100%.
those 4 or 5 people, think about them right now.
Mm-hmm.
Are you confident and content with the image of who you are, like when you're thinking about those people?
110%.
Yeah, I would say so. But like I guess what kind of diverges when you was asking the question about like the whole like me being selective of friends and I guess where they're at. Um like just with me being like a man of God and especially having a relationship with God at a young age, it's like I view myself trying to like although it is a friendship, I also view it as like trying to be there for them and being a good example. So I would say like and also just like my goals and the things that I want to do are always completely different than most people because I'm just not traditional. I don't go the traditional route. So since I don't go the traditional route, it's like my friends, I don't really have like that particular friend that's like, yeah, we're gonna go our own way, you know what I mean? So it's like, but I guess like just to say like when I look at my closest people, like, like I said, my two best friends, one's about to go to graduate school next year, and then my other friend, she's a nurse, she's gonna get some more schooling as well, and then as far as my other people, they're working on themselves as well, so I just view it as like they're doing their own thing, and with them doing their own thing, like what you're saying earlier, like iron sharpens iron. Like I'm gonna do what I want to do for myself, what I feel like I need to do, instead of just like for both of them, they, like I said, they both went to school for certain things. So, yeah, so that's what I say.
Mm. So we can't talk about the 20s without mentioning like the ups and downs
Yeah.
of your 20s.
And it's a roller coaster in your 20s. I can't lie. Like, at least in my experience, like, my 20s has been a roller coaster. Like, each year of my 20s has been a different book, if that
A
makes
different
sense.
chapter.
Different chat. Nah, it's a different book. It's a whole different book because there is too much stuff that happens in your 20s to try to squeeze into one chapter. And if you don't look over all of it, then you're kind of missing some of the story. Like, like like when I turned, like, boom, when I turned 20, like, I was living free, like, woo, I'm 20, I'm partying at college, I'm doing all this stuff. 21, I was depressed. 22, I was depressed. 23, I worked my way back up. 24, I was depressed.
Dang.
25, I feel like through going through like those like I could get like deep, like very deep into that subject, but the point is, like, you learn lessons in those times to where if you don't pay attention to those,
Mm-hmm.
it won't help you grow. You will stay in the same cycle.
Mm.
Like, you have to learn why you're feeling depressed, why you're having these ups, why you're having these downs. And that's the part of 20s being the age of discovery for somebody, is learning those ticks, what itches your brain the right way to where it makes you feel like a good person when you're 25, when you're 26, when you're 27.
And with that, you have it. Catch us on the next episode on Holy Culture Radio on Sirius XM, okay?